¿Qué pasa, YouTube? Okay, what's up, YouTube? Welcome to week number 7 of VDL Season 8. We are taking on Niv and his terrifying squad in our matchup here. Niv has been having a great season this time around, and his squad has definitely been putting in the work. So if you guys are excited for this, make sure to like, leave a comment down below. If you guys want to skip right to the battle, you can go ahead and do so. So looking at Niv's squad, he has Zamazenta Crown, arguably a mon that is way too good in a normal draft league format, but he has it, and it's a very terrifying problem because it's so ridiculously bulky, and it literally outspeeds everything that we have that could not be speed boosting. Lando T is very annoying just because he can get up rocks and get momentum. He has two terrifying fire types in Arcanine Hisui with TERA and Chi Yu. TERA Arcanine I definitely expect in this matchup. Which kind of TERA? I'm not too sure, so we have to deal with that accordingly. Along with his offensive threats, he has some really good bulk in Blastoise, Goodra, and I just realized that this image is not entirely too proportionate here. So this is the actual full squad. Yes, he has 10 mons, we're just missing the Muck and the Tatsuguri, but yeah, he has good defensive mons in Blastoise, Goodra, Screamtail, Muck, Shaman, and the Vikavolt. Blastoise could potentially be Shell Smash, but I more or less expect a very bulky variant just for our offensive mon. Screamtail, depending on the set, could be annoying just because it's really fast and has a lot of great supportive moves. Vikavolt and Muck are probably the two mons I don't expect, and then Shaman plus Goodra could maybe come to this game. I don't expect both of them. If anything, I expect one or the other. So our first team member is going to be, of course, our captain in Meowscarada, rocking a nice Choice Scarf set. This is able to outspeed literally the entirety of his draft outside of something like Speed Booster Screamtail, which I really don't think it's going to be Booster in general. It could be a Weakening Berry or Leftovers or even Boots, or maybe Light Clay if he wants to run something like Dual Screens. So I don't expect him to be speed boosting Screamtail, which means this Meowscarada should in theory outspeed the entirety of his squad, which would be really nice. Although he could maybe bring webs on the Vikavolt, that could be a little bit annoying, but if he doesn't bring that, then we're still able to outspeed everything outside of the Screamtail and the Zamazenta Crown, which regardless though, these 4 moves still do a lot of damage to his squad. Our next member is going to be, of course, Boo, aka Ting Lu, rocking Rocky Helmet this time around as opposed to our standard Citrus Berry. I know I am a big fan of Citrus Berry on Ting Lu, but Rocky Helmet here is actually really nice, especially to wear down his Zamazenta Crown if we're able to get up our rocks, as well as being able to lower the speed of any of his potentially faster mons with Rock Tomb. Ruination getting off 50% of everything is really nice, and then Earthquake is just there for a good stab. Once Landorus is gone and Vikavolt is gone, we can just spam Earthquake. If not, then we can Ruination both of those, or even the Shaman if it does come. So our next team member here is going to be Rotom, aka Sergio, making its debut, rocking a pretty nasty set. We are Sub-Split Thunderwave Hex. Look at this set and look at his team. We are running enough speed to outspeed the Blastoise, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't think he's going to want to run a Jolly Max Speed Arcanine, so we could outspeed the Blastoise or any kind of creep he might be creeping for that, which is really nice. Then we have a good amount of HP and then the rest into our special attack, so that way if we do paralyze things, then Hex with the double damage along with stab is able to do some good work into his status mons. Next off, we have Conkeldurr, our Terra captain, with Terra Ghost, once again rocking a super physically defensive set and just a fat set in general. We are Protect Leftovers because this is a really nice pivot into his physically offensive mons, mainly his Zamazenta because that thing is a giant issue. Next we have Iron Moth rocking a nice bulky spread here with max HP, enough speed to outspeed the Lando T if it is running Jolly or Timid for some reason, and I really don't think he's going to be max speed, timid, Chi-Yu, or Shaman. So sub Toxic Morning Sun is able to wear his mons down, and Fiery Dance is just really spammable into a squad, as well as if we are able to get special attack boosts, we can put in work. And then our final member is going to be our Salamence, a Dragon Dance bulky variant here, because with us being at full HP and him more than likely not being a max speed max special attack Screamtail, then we are able to hopefully set up and then just kind of go from there. With this bulk investment too, we can live any hit after Intimidate on the physical side, Dragon Dance up, outspeed the Zama, Orlando, or Arcanine, and just go from there. So with that being said, let's jump into the squad, into the game. Okay, pause YouTube. Okay, what's up YouTube? So this is going to be me post-commentating this for the second time, because I just went to go check the audio. I was going to edit it, and unfortunately the audio messed up again. I did face cam and everything, and right now I just want to knock this out, so I apologize, but the actual video file of this got corrupted, or I think I wasn't able to save it. I just had a bunch of issues going on for like 2 weeks when it came to games and with my OBS, and then I changed rooms and just, yeah, I apologize that this is post commentated, but here we are. So looking at the matchup here, he brought stuff I was not expecting, like Vikable I didn't expect, everything else I did expect. The Screamtail was a little surprising. I'm surprised to see no Shaman or no Goodra here. I feel like they both had decent matchups, but obviously I don't know the sets that he's running, so I'm going to try and post commentate that as we go along here. And I believe that my best bet to lead off with was just going to be my Tinglu. If anything, I can hopefully get up my rocks turn one. Also Lando T was another mon I was surprised that he did not bring. I thought Lando T had a decent matchup here. Either way though, he ends up leading off with the Arcanine, which is TERA Grass, as you can see. I'm not sure what kind of Arcanine this is, but I figured that if I can just go ahead and start weakening this thing down, it's going to be a lot easier to handle potentially. And if he does have the Morning Sun, then hopefully that won't be a problem. If he does end up beating us 1v1, then I can just bring something in to revenge kill him after we go for the Ruination, because I do not have, you don't switch in to Arcanine Hisui, especially with TERA. He turns out to have the TERA Blast Grass, which is really problematic. So I'm trying to figure out the calcs to see what kind of Arcanine this is, and I think I figured out that he was adamant natured. Obviously he's muscle banded, but I didn't know that at the time, so I'm thinking, okay, maybe he's like adamant scarfed or something. So there is a chance I can switch out here, or I can stay in. If anything, I should live another hit, and then I can go for my Stealth Rocks at least, trying to get more usage out of my Tinglu here. The only downside of losing my Tinglu is that I lose my switch into his Chi-Yu, or one of my switch-ins to Chi-Yu, so I need to be careful with that. But we got damage off on Arcanine. He over-predicts, and he goes for the Head Smash. Luckily, he ends up going for it again here, back-to-back turns. I don't think that miss necessarily mattered, because we would have been able to potentially take another hit from him if he did pop our Citrus Berry. Am I Citrus Berry? I think I'm Citrus Berry. Oh, I'm not Citrus Berry on this. What am I on this? I'm not sure. Sorry guys, like I said, I already post commentated this in this like 2 weeks ago. So if he had hit that Head Smash, then he would have knocked us out with the TERA Blast, so that's my fault. But we are able to get off a little bit more damage on the Arcanine, which is really helpful, as he's going to go for TERA Blast as I bring in Conkeldurr. We are very physically defensive on this Conkeldurr because it was a nice switch into whatever he potentially wanted to bring offensively against us. Oh, I was Rocky Helmet on Tinglu, I apologize. And yeah, we are physically defensive Conkeldurr on this. I just put up the sets on my phone, so at this point, it's probably in my best interest to just go straight for the Mach Punch. Even if he switches out wanting to save this, potentially for death fodder later in the match, I'm fine with that. Just this thing being at such low HP means that it's nowhere near as big of an issue as it would have been if it was able to get away with getting out of the exchange against my Tinglu at full HP. So luckily, we are now 5-5, and we have rocks up on his side of the field. Also, there's a chance that maybe he doesn't have rocks on his squad, although I guess he could have rocks on the Screamtail, but that also means that it's one less nuisance of a move that it could have on his Screamtail, because it can't fit Thunder Wave, Encore, Taunt, Wish, and rocks all in the same set. I mean, I guess it could, but that just means it would be taunt food, and I don't think he would go down that route. So speaking of the Screamtail, in comes the Screamtail on my Conkeldurr. I thought this was odd. I'm not sure why he made this play. If you guys want to find out why, then check out his side of this video, which he did live commentate, so definitely check out Niv. He's been putting out awesome content this season. So either way, I'm going to stay in here because we do have the TERA Blast, and this should do a huge chunk of damage to him, as we are able to clean to a KO him as he tried to get off some damage with the Dazzling Gleam. This is fine. I'm just gonna go for another TERA Blast. He cannot really switch in to this Conkeldurr whatsoever. Ghost plus fighting absolutely murdered his entire squad. So he's gonna get up the Reflect, I think, as we knock him out with another TERA Blast. So the annoying part of this is that he's got Reflect up in front of our Conkeldurr. Also, we have a lot more offensive mons outside of Iron Moth and Rotom, which don't necessarily want to switch into Vikavolt. I thought that he would just go for webs here with the Vikavolt, so I figured that I could maybe just stay in and try to get off some damage with the TERA Blast. I could even go for the Protect. I don't have any type of setup on this Conkeldurr, so either being aggressive or protecting, I figured, were my best plays, just because I don't want to switch something in on this Vikavolt if he did go for an offensive move, or if maybe he did go for the Volt Switch, because with us losing Tinglu, this can just come in Volt Switch free, and even Rotom is not going to appreciate taking a modest special attack coming from Vikavolt's high base special attack set. So he turns out to have agility, as I reveal the Protect here, thinking, okay, now he goes for the offensive move. So with him being agility, this now confirms that he most definitely does not have the sticky web. So that is a little bit handy for my Meowscarada in the back, which is Choice Scarfed. And now I figured I could either just go for the offensive move. Oh, sorry, I didn't lose Tinglu. Sorry, I figured that I could sack off Tinglu earlier. And here I think I do sack Tinglu, because it's not doing anything. So if he did go for the Volt Switch, I still would have been able to sack off Tinglu and then go from there. So that's actually what's going to happen here. He tries to go for the Thunderbolt, but now he is able to knock us out with the Bug Buzz. Tinglu did do some good work here. It got up rocks. It more or less got rid of the Arcanine as well, which Arcanine again was terrifyingly difficult to switch into. So I bring in my Iron Moth. I am max HP Iron Moth. I'm thinking, okay, there's no way that the Vikavolt does any damage to my Iron Moth, so I'll eat a hit and knock him out. No, he has the Mud Shot. I did not even know that this thing learned Mud Shot at all. So this really sucks, because he got off such huge damage on Moth, which would have been really nice to sub-toxic a couple things. So we did get rid of the Vikavolt, but now my Moth is more or less useless. Yeah, we have the heavy duty boots, but at like 20% HP, Moth is not gonna be doing anything else in this game. So Blastoise is pretty much able to just go ahead and knock us out with whatever he wants to go for. I go for the Toxic as opposed to going for the Fiery Dance, just in case he went for the Shell Smash, because at least with Toxic off on this, I could try and rack up damage with my Protect Conkeldurr, and then hopefully put him in range of where we knock him out with a Mach Punch plus Toxic. But it turns out that he just goes for the Flip Turn, because as you can see, he's actually Assault Vested. Now again, I don't know he's Assault Vested at this point, but now I do know that he is not running Shell Smash, because he did go for the Flip Turn. So he knocks out Iron Moth. So we've lost Iron Moth, and we've lost Tinglu, as he's got the Blastoise Chi-Yu and the coming in Zamazenta Crown. Now this thing is actually a little bit of a problem depending on what set it could be running. It could be how offensive, it could be sub 3 attacks, or it could be Iron Defense here, as you saw. So the main reason why I did have Conkeldurr here as a physically defensive TERA Ghost set is because it can more or less handle Zamazenta Crown in worst case scenario. But the nice thing about facing Zamazenta Crown is that it can't run the Clear Amulet. So by bringing in my Salamence, I can get the Intimidate off, and putting him at -1 means that he's going to be doing little to no damage to my incoming Conkeldurr if he wants to try and go for a Stone Edge or an Ice Fang against my Salamence, trying to prevent me from setting up. I guess he could also easily just go for the Iron Defense, but I mean, even then, that's not the worst thing ever, because if he's Iron Defense Body Press, that means he might be lacking a coverage move, or a move that can do any significant damage to my Conkeldurr, especially with us being a very, very bulky variant of Conkeldurr. So I think he did actually go for the Iron Defense there, as he goes for the Heavy Slam with him being a -1 attack. That does 0, and Drain Punch will eventually beat this Zamazenta 1v1. I guess worst case he could have gone to +6 with Iron Defense, but as you saw there, Heavy Slam is doing nothing, and if we really got into the routine, I could at least protect every other turn and just keep Conkeldurr at full HP and still eventually beat Zamazenta 1v1. So I think I do just end up going for another Drain Punch here. I'm pretty sure. Oh no, I switched. Why did I switch? Oh, I think I switched expecting Heavy Slam, and then I could have brought in Rotom and gone for Will-O-Wisp. Because if he did have Crunch, then I think he would have gone for Crunch on my Conkeldurr instead of going for the Heavy Slam. So I think maybe that was my thought process there, as I figured I'm going to be able to sub here pretty safely on Blastoise. No, he breaks my sub, and after he showed me the set that he was running on Blastoise, he got literally absolute max damage on that flip turn. So this kind of bites now, because in comes the Chi-Yu. This is a little tricky, because I figured I need to sack off Rotom. Worst case scenario, he turns out to be Substitute on this Chi-Yu, and he knocks us out, but then I could potentially bring in my Salamence and dual Wing Beat, or depending on his investment, live a hit, Dragon Dance, and then dual Wing Beat to try and knock him out easier. But it turns out that we're actually faster with Rotom, which I was not expecting whatsoever. And we're able to paralyze him as he knocks us out. In comes my Salamence now. And I can just go ahead and either go for the Earthquake, or as I mentioned, go for the Dragon Dance and go from there. I figured just going for the Earthquake might be a little bit better, because it's still a Chi-Yu. It has a ridiculously high special attack stat. As in comes the Blastoise. I'm going to go for the Dragon Dance here, which was a little bit risky, honestly, in hindsight. I think I was checking calcs, and there is a chance that he might not be that specially offensive invested in this Blastoise. So I figured that we might be able to take an Ice Beam here, and we can go ahead and Dragon Dance, and with him having no priority, then at +1, Salamence might be able to win the game here. Sorry, but even if we did not, I don't know why my throat is really dry, sorry guys, but even if Zamazenta lived the Earthquake here, I don't think that was the worst thing ever either, because I could have just brought in back Conkeldurr, and at this point Conkeldurr with Chi-Yu being paralyzed should be able to beat it 1v1. Even if he knocks us out, the combination of Meow, Scarada, and Conkeldurr still would have been able, I think, to beat the combo of Blastoise plus Chi-Yu. So down goes Blastoise, his last mon, and Salamence puts in some work here. That was not his last mon, sorry, that was his second to last mon, but Chi-Yu will not be able to live a +1 Earthquake once it comes in. So that is going to be the victory in our favor. So we are 1 week away from ending the regular season, and then from there determining our playoff spot. Hopefully we can end 1 or 2. I think either way we end 1 or 2, depending on how the other games go, obviously. With that being said, we can jump into week 8, kind of, sorta. Alright guys, so unfortunately our week 8 match, my side got corrupted, and it just, I was having some really bad luck. Honestly, the bad luck can still continue, because we haven't even gotten into the PPL stuff. It's been a rough few days, to say the least, when it's come to me battling and trying to record. So yeah, I've said sorry multiple times, but I'm just going to do a quick builder for my actual week 8 match. We ended up facing Owlmancer. Unfortunately, he does not upload his side of the games, and my side of the match was corrupted, so the video file didn't save, and there was just too much going on in the actual game for me to even try and recreate it. So I apologize about that, but this is quote unquote the last video of our regular season, along with our week 7 match that you guys might have just watched. So let's just take a quick breakdown of the squad, and I can run you guys through what I brought. So obviously as Champal, that's definitely a giant threat. That's easily his biggest threat. Basculegion with TERA and setup could be very scary. In rain, our Chaladon is a bit of an issue. Enamorous offensively and Iron Hands offensively could be pretty annoying. Mousehold and Toadscroll are probably the two mons I don't expect to come to this matchup. Hisuian Electrode could be a little bit annoying just because it's so ridiculously fast, and its dual stab are actually kind of annoying into our squad. And then Clodsire is a Clodsire. It could be Spadef bulky, which means we deal with it physically offensively. It could be physically bulky, which means we deal with it specially offensively. So with that being said, let's take a look here at our first team member, which is going to be our captain in Meowscarada, once again just rocking a nice choice scarf set here. This is able to outspeed literally everything that is not the Champao, because outside of Champao we outspeed everything. And I mean, if he brings Champao, I might have Ice Stride anyways, so there's no point of us somehow outspeeding that. Regardless though, this deals with everything in the rain. Most importantly though, this outspeeds Basculegion in the rain, which is really great. Shout out to the front office homies for helping me here for our final week match. Next off, we have our TERA captain in Conkeldurr, rocking a nice TERA water set here. A very Spadef tankish, speedy version. I don't know, there's a lot going on in this spread. This takes hits and it deals damage. If we can get bulk ups going on, then on the physical side he cannot touch us, and after we TERA on the special side, we should be able to live anything from the Archaludon, Enamorus, or the Basculegion. So yeah, Mach Punch, Drain Punch, and Ice Punch just hit everything for some really good damage. Next up, we have Choice Specs Iron Moth, which I know might seem weird, but I really don't think he brings Pelipper in this matchup. Spoiler, he brought Pelipper. Even though you guys aren't going to see a battle from it, he did end up bringing Pelipper, which was really unfortunate because outside of him having Pelipper, this Specs just really bends his team over. And in the actual battle itself, Pelipper was a giant problem because you're going to see we don't have any electric moves on anything here. So next off, we have Bronzong rocking a nice Spadef bulky set here. Reflect, it's just nice to mainly deal with the Champao with the Colberberry. We live a hit from Champao, then we can Reflect for the rest of our squad, or we live a hit, then Gyro Ball him and just absolutely destroy him. Next up, we have Rotom rocking a similar set to our week 7 match, but this time we're actually running Will-O-Wisp over Thunderwave because burning things is more valuable here than paralyzing them. And on top of that, double hex damage with modest max special attack does do pretty good damage into his squad because his dark type is Champao. I don't expect TERA normal Basculegion, and he doesn't have a normal type outside of Mousehold, which it's a Mousehold. I really don't think it would ever come to this game. And then our final team member is just standard AV Alomola, which was actually a really big issue for him to deal with. Funnily enough, our bulky water was a problem, his bulky water was a problem, and we ended up winning the match, I believe 2-0 if I'm not mistaken. So we end up finishing the regular season first overall, which is amazing because we get first round pick, which is even better, and then hopefully we can win round 1, win semifinals, and win the finals for back-to-back championships. So yeah guys, that is our week 7 and our week 8 battles for the regular VDL season. I will see you all next time for round 1 of the playoffs. So thank you all for watching. Later everybody.